All right, so today we are going deep, really deep into the Sundarbans.
Sounds awesome.
And, when you talk about this incredible ecosystem,
Hmm.
you can't avoid this one creature, right?
Right.
This, indicator species.
Yeah.
The masked finfoot.
Oh, yeah.
This bird, it's elusive, it's rarely seen, and it's a bit of a mystery, to be honest.
Yeah, it really is.
But that's kind of what makes it so fascinating, right? We're talking like lobed feet,
oh, those are crazy.
striking appearance.
Yeah,
And its story is just intertwined with this, really threatened habitat,
absolutely.
the Sundarbans. So today, let's figure out what makes this bird, the masked finfoot, so unique,
Okay.
and why it matters to all of us,
Yeah.
even if we're thousands of miles away.
Yeah.
We always talk about connections.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything's connected.
Absolutely. And I think what's really fascinating about the masked finfoot is it's like this puzzle piece that helps us see the bigger picture of the Sundarbans.
Okay, so let's unpack that, right? For someone who's never, actually seen this bird in person, what does a masked finfoot look like?
So picture this like medium-sized bird, maybe a little bit bigger than a dove,
Okay.
perfectly adapted to this watery world. The males are really striking. They have this like black mask, as it's called, and the throat is black too, which really contrasts with their white underparts. And their upper plumage is kind of like greenish brown, blending in with the dappled light of the mangroves.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And then the females are a little more understated. They don't have
Okay.
the mask, but they're still really captivating. Both sexes have these like bright yellow-green legs and feet.
Those are what get me.
Yeah.
Those feet, talk about lobed feet. I can't imagine trying to walk in those.
Yeah, no kidding.
What kind of evolutionary, what's happening there that leads to that adaptation?
Right. It's wild. So those lobed feet basically act as like built-in paddles.
Oh, I see.
So they can swim like so agilely through these like submerged branches and just like weave through all this thick vegetation.
Wow.
So that adaptation, it really shows you how much they rely on the water for survival.
It's amazing, though, how, you look at each feature and it kind of ties back to where they live.
Exactly.
You mentioned the Sundarbans, this incredible mangrove forest, largely in Bangladesh.
Yeah.
What makes this place so special for this bird?
Well, you said it. It's incredible. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's the largest mangrove forest in the entire world.
Wow.
And it's this critical haven for biodiversity, including the masked finfoot, right?
Right.
And these forests, they straddle the line between land and sea, and so they create this like unique ecosystem that provides like food and shelter for so many different creatures. It's mind-boggling.
It is, and that's what's so cool about this, is we're not just talking about a bird here. We're talking about a bird that's a part of this huge, crazy, complex web of life. And so in that web, how does the masked finfoot actually make a living? You say they're shy.
Yeah.
How do they even find food? It's
Yeah.
so dense there.
It is, but they're surprisingly diverse in what they eat.
Okay.
They're omnivores,
Oh, cool.
which means they'll eat meat and plants.
Nice.
So you'll see them eating aquatic insects, small fish, mollusks, crustaceans, all those kind of like staples of the mangrove menu.
Sure.
But they'll also like munch on plant material.
Oh, cool.
So they're making the most of what's around.
And speaking of making the most of what's around, how do they breed?
Okay, so they breed during the monsoon season, which is typically May to October.
Gotcha.
They build their nests like right above the water level
Okay.
in dense vegetation, so mangrove trees, shrubs, anything like that.
Gotcha.
The females lay between 4 and 7 eggs, and then both parents will incubate those eggs.
That's cool.
And then the chicks, the little chicks, they're what we call precocial.
What does that mean?
So that basically means they're like ready to go almost as soon as they hatch.
Oh, wow.
They can swim, they can feed themselves.
Oh.
Which makes sense, right? It's a tough environment.
Yeah.
So they need those skills to survive.
But sadly, this bird is facing a lot of threats.
Yeah.
The masked finfoot is listed as endangered.
Yes.
What does that mean in terms of actual numbers of birds?
Well, it means the situation is pretty dire.
Okay.
Current estimates say there's less than 11,000 mature individuals left in the wild.
Wow, that's really low.
Yeah, and that's really low, and it just shows how vulnerable they are.
What's causing that decline?
Well, sadly, the main culprit is habitat destruction.
Okay.
Mangrove forests are being cleared at just like an alarming rate.
For what?
For things like agriculture,
Yeah.
aquaculture,
Okay.
development, firewood, and then on top of that you have climate change.
Oh, yeah.
Which adds this whole other layer of complexity.
Sure.
With things like rising sea levels,
Yeah.
increased salinity,
Right.
and more frequent storms, which are all just putting this huge pressure on these ecosystems.
Right. And it's funny, like you said, mangroves are being cleared for agriculture, development, those sorts of things.
Right.
It's not just a over there problem.
Yeah.
You know, the choices that we make here as consumers
Right.
impact the demand for resources that actually drive mangrove loss.
Absolutely.
So in a way, like, this bird's fate is tied to our own.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is.
But, you know, are there efforts underway to try to turn the tide for this bird?
Yes, there is hope.
Okay, good.
There's actually numerous organizations that are working really hard to protect and restore these mangrove habitat.
Good.
They're focusing on things like reforestation projects,
Okay.
community engagement,
Oh, that's great.
and just promoting sustainable practices that are good for people and good for the environment.
So it's a really collaborative effort. You've got scientists, conservationists, local communities,
All work together.
all coming together to try to solve this.
Exactly. And, you know, just raising awareness about the plight of the masked finfoot is so important.
Right.
Because the more people that understand how this ecosystem is all interconnected,
Yeah.
the more likely they are to support efforts to protect it.
That's
I mean-
true. So, I mean, it's a reminder that even though this bird, the masked finfoot, might seem like it's a world away,
Right.
its story really is about this much bigger issue,
Yeah.
which is, you know, how do we balance human needs
Yeah.
with preserving biodiversity?
Right.
So what does all of this mean for us? We've gone deep.
Very deep.
We've explored the masked finfoot.
Mhm.
We've looked at their adaptations, and we've confronted the realities that they're facing.
Yeah.
It leaves us with this question.
Big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What can we do, even if we are a world away,
That's a great question.
to protect this species?
Well, there's a lot of things, actually. One is you can support organizations that are dedicated to mangrove conservation.
Okay.
Another one is to be mindful of our consumption habits.
Right.
And also raising awareness among our own circles, our own communities.
Yeah.
These are all actions that can contribute to this bigger picture.
Right.
The fate of the masked finfoot and really the health of our planet rests on all of our choices together.
It's true, and it's a really powerful reminder that even small actions can make a difference.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
My pleasure.
We hope you came away with not only just an appreciation for this amazing bird, but also this sense of, like, responsibility, you know,
Yeah.
for the future of the species and the ecosystem that it calls home.
I think that's a great takeaway.
Awesome. All right, so we'll see you next time
See you later.
for another deep dive.
Bye.
Bye.